I'm your host, Dr. Jane Mountrose, and I'm here with my wonderful friend and co-host, Gretchen Comer. We're both coaches and spiritual guides here to support today and every Sunday at this time, our community with blessings of love and light for ourselves and for the world. So I also want to put up, there we are, the comments. So if you're here, please say hello. Today, to me, feels like a very special day. Of course, here we are at the beginning of the year, and it always is a time of wonder to me, like a new beginning. And so, what we're going to be talking about today is looking out at the year ahead with an intention of living in harmony with the cycles of the moon. We've talked about the moon quite a bit in the circle, but not in this exact way. We recognize, most of us recognize that the rhythms of the moon have an influence on the earth and with the ebbs and flows of the tides. And it's very common for people to understand that there are, according to the moon cycles, and Gretchen probably knows more about this than me, there are best times to plant and harvest. And this isn't just true for plants, it's true for us. So I think that the thing that we want to focus on and recognize is that there is a measurable influence from the moon and the planets that it's related to, which we're going to be talking about also with our own personal and spiritual lives. And I think both of us, as I understand it, want to focus more this year on understanding these energies. And at least I can speak for myself that I'm stating a goal, you could say a New Year's idea of making that connection more on a daily basis, because I think the more we become present in our lives, the more we realize that each day is such a special thing. It's like this is a moment in time that's never going to come again. And there are all of these influences on us outside of ourselves, inside of ourselves, from the divine, all the beings of love or of light and love above us. All of this is happening in a very unique way each day. And when we can live more in harmony with nature and the natural rhythms that are really, I think the moon is a very strong influence on us, especially on our internal worlds, our psyche and our intuition and so many things. I'm just excited about connecting with that more than I ever have before. So we're starting today with the new moon that just occurred on the 11th. So we're a few days from the start. And astrologically, it is called a new moon in Capricorn. So we'll discuss this and talk about how we can live in harmony with this influence now. And as is often the case, we've already discussed drawing an oracle card, and we'll have a special meditation to bring ourselves into harmony with this lunar energy that's influencing us now. So I'm very excited. As always, I want to thank you for being with us. I see Sharon's here. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you. Philip is going to be visiting with Sharon this week. He's going to be around where she lives, which is not too far from where we are, actually. So I want to thank all of you who are here live or at any time during the week for joining us and being emissaries of love and light for the world. I think it's more important than we realize that it's a contribution, kind of like a lot of the things related to the moon, where we don't actually see it, but it is occurring. We are having an influence on the world. And it is beautiful to see more and more people standing up as beacons of love and light for the world. So just reminding you also, please say hi. And if you're new, you can let us know where you're from. Feel free to comment, ask questions, whatever comes from your heart. And we'll be ready to get started here in just a moment. Actually, we do start in this moment with connecting. We're going to connect with that love that we hold in our heart with a few nice breaths. And if you're in a place where you can close your eyes, you might enjoy doing that. Just inviting the love and light in the universe to flow down over you as you breathe in. The perfect light for you can be magical, mystical, alive, whatever you want to feel, whatever you feel you need more of. Beautiful, full breaths, and releasing with the exhale. In addition to feeling good, this also brings us more into a place of presence in our bodies so that we can enjoy our time together fully. Wonderful. It feels good. So with that, I'd like to turn to you, Gretchen, and ask you to lead us off. I know Gretchen knows a lot more about this actually than I do. So if you want to just tell us a few things about how you would recommend people observe and honor this as an idea for this year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jane. So we, like you said, we just had the new moon on the 11th, and we have a new moon every month. We have a full moon every month, and there are periods of time in between each that are also their own unique phases. So right now we're in the waxing moon. That's what comes after the new moon. So at the new moon, what we're focusing on is it's a rebirth symbolism. It basically is about bringing in new life, new light, and that energy increases as we head towards the full moon. And then once the moon is full and that passes, we start to wane and we go back towards the new moon. So at the new moon, we want to just focus on the things that bring our attention to the things that we're focusing on. So, where is our attention right now? What are we bringing in over this next cycle of days as we're heading towards the full moon? What's building in us? What wants to be birthed, from us? What do we want to create? What do we want to bring into our lives? So those are the kinds of questions we may want to ask ourselves as we're just focusing on that new energy. And what's beautiful about the new moon is it is a place and time of rebirth. So it really is about starting over. So if you feel like you need a new beginning, this is a perfect time to start new things in your life, to start new adventures. It's also a common time to plant seeds, and they gain in energy and strength as the moon phases goes towards the full moon. So for us, it really is just about bringing our awareness to what new things, what fresh new energy do we want to bring into our life? What new things are blossoming? What are budding in our life? And you can also use it with winter time. Right now, we're in winter in the northern hemisphere. We're in the cold cycle of days, and so as the light is gaining since winter solstice. We can also focus on that as well, because the moon itself is light. It also has light to it. It has that kind of energy to it as well. But it works more with I guess you could say, the unconscious side of our nature. And so a lot of it focuses on what we're feeling underneath, a lot of our emotions, our feelings, those things that we think about but maybe never act on. So with that fresh new energy that comes in with new moon, those are the times that we can put those plans into action. And then the energy behind it will build every day as we get closer and closer to the full moon. So one of the ways that we can celebrate is just by doing some self-inquiry. What do I want to bring in over the next cycle of days?
Right.
What wants to be expressed or birthed from me in the next cycle of days? What do I want to put my energy towards in the next cycle of days? Those are all simple questions that we can ask ourselves to kind of help align better with those natural rhythms that are going on right now. Yeah.
Right. And in terms of rhythms, I often correlate it in my mind kind of with the rhythm of the day, like we talk about the four directions starting with the east, and the morning, it's like, what is dawning for me? And I would associate the same thing with the lunar phase as we enter the new moon and then the days ahead. It's like, what's dawning for me? And I like that term dawning. It's just there's something, I guess, really glorious about the dawn, about the sunrise. I go outside every morning and do a little prayer invocation to the sunrise. And it is glorious. You know, you're just looking at the whole world around you, and then the sun coming up in the east, and it's just beautiful. It's a wondrous thing. And I
Absolutely.
think it's so helpful to know that there are, like, this is the time to plant seeds for ourselves, for our creation. And if you extend that out to like the first quarter of the moon, I guess would be, and Gretchen would know this more more than me technically, but would be like the noon of the day. You know, like it's becoming brighter. And then we move when we get the days starts to wane, you know, we actually with the full moon, I guess, is like the fullness of the day, right? You'd say.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then the energy of the day starts to wane, it becomes darker. And the same thing is happening in terms of our own inner worlds. There is kind of a resonance with that. Like now it is time. And we know that as the sun goes down and gets dark, well, pretty soon we're going to go to bed and rest for a while. And the same thing is happening with the lunar phase, that we have those times when we turn inward much more. And then the sun comes back up. And we have that happening daily with the sun, and more or less monthly with the moon.
Right.
So I
And
think it's just so beautiful to think of that in a more, I guess, cosmic view. To me, I really love that.
right.
Oh, I see Lisa Coppola Matroni has joined us. Hello and welcome. Anyhow, I wanted to note also the new moon in Capricorn. I have these Moonology oracle cards, and I actually haven't used them much as oracle cards, but they have beautiful descriptions of the lunar phases, all of the different parts, the different aspects of the lunar phase, and also about the meanings of like a new moon in Capricorn, for instance. So I'm going to just read a little bit about this. The new moon or Capricorn, excuse me, is the sign of ambition, building, and hard work. The energy is solid and rigid. The new moon in Capricorn is a powerful lunation. That's interesting, lunation, that comes toward the end of the year or the beginning of the year, obviously in this case. And it marks arguably the best moment annually to make a list of your hopes, dreams, ambitions, and intentions for the year ahead. It suggests that with planning and discipline, you can achieve whatever you set your mind to. So it is that, again, and I'm sure we've all been hearing this so much in the last couple of weeks already, but it is wonderful now to know that this is the time to plant those seeds. We're
Right.
there. So
Right.
that's exciting.
It is exciting because the moon has this incredible energy that I think maybe people don't always think much about. But when you think about the moon and how it impacts our planet, it is moving the ocean tides. You know,
Right.
It's also a very common time for women to give birth. In ancient times, they often call it a drawing energy because it is drawing the tides across the earth. It is drawing babies out of the womb. It has a lot of power, you know, it has a
Right.
lot of tremendous power. And as the phases go from new moon to full moon, that energy continues to draw and increase. So it's a perfect time to put out into the universe what it is we want to bring into our life and plant those seeds. And the energy of the moon will help draw them out of the earth as plants grow and break through the soil and become plants and grow healthy and strong. They actually do that with the moon phase. My husband's an organic gardener, and he often plants according to the moon phases. And that's something that's in the old farmers' almanacs and has
Right.
been done by our ancestors for thousands of years. So
Right.
it really has a lot of energy that we can tap into, you know, and if we're working with that energy, you know, you don't want to plant it, you know, when the moon's waning, you don't want to plant seeds because it's probably not going to grow as healthy, or, you know, it's not going to have as much of that drawing energy. But I think it's interesting because a lot of people become sensitive to the moon as well. The full moon, in French, you know, there's specific phrases in French to mean like crazy with the moon, you know, or things like that. So I know we're not talking about the full moon today, but it's all part of it. And so it really is a powerful energy source that we can use, that I think, you know, sometimes it might be underutilized. Maybe we don't understand it, or don't choose to follow along with those rhythms, but it makes things a lot easier. Like we've talked so
Right.
many
It is living in
times, you know,
harmony with life.
right, exactly, with that natural rhythm, that the way things flow with life. And so it just makes things a lot easier. It's wonderful because it actually helps to boost, you know, anything that we're trying to manifest. We can really tap into that energy and align with it. And it actually gives us a natural boost for whatever we're trying to manifest.
Right. Yeah. And I think we can talk about, since right now we're kind of talking about the big picture, the full moon, when you get to, we're done planting and then you start pruning. Then it's time to look at, well, what, you know, or weeds, what is it that's growing in my garden that I need to extract and remove? So that when the next cycle starts, then I'm in a better place, instead of like having a weedy garden and then trying to plant on top of all the weeds. You want to be watching and knowing when it's time to let go of things too.
Absolutely. That's a good point. And that's a big part of that, is the harvest time, essentially, of the moon phase, which is the culling, you know, like you're saying, drawing out all of those weeds so that the soil can remain fertile and, you know, dark and rich and fertile, so that we can plant more in the next moon phase. And I think that's important too. We can't just plant seeds and walk away. You know, they need tending. So
right, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye, I planted you, you should grow now. Yeah. As we know, it takes attention and time and focus in order to get our seeds to manifest. But, you know, nature can teach us that. I think that's what's so beautiful about the moon phase, is it really is like a planner. You know, it tells you exactly when to do it by the different phases of the moon. So it's really powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention a resource also that I think Gretchen and I are both going to be using, and this is a free, I guess you could call it well, it's an offering. And this is from a woman named Ethany, who has created a number of oracle decks and other things, I think. And it's Tarot by the Moon, 2024. So this is all for this year. And I just printed this out from the PDF, and I wanted to show you also specifically, this is something you could check in for yourself. This is January 11th, new moon in Capricorn. And then it has 5 questions that you could use for an oracle reading, or just ask yourself as you move into that. And then it goes through the whole year. It's really great.
It's a beautiful guide. It really is well done.
Yeah, then full moon in Leo and more questions. And we won't, actually, I know that when the full moon is coming, which is close to the Sunday, the 28th, Gretchen and I are not going to be here. I think that time Philip will be here, but we're going to follow these as much as we can throughout the year, because I think it's another way to connect with what's possible for us too. And wherever we are in our growth, this is what is being open to us. It's like, this is the door that's opening, or the door that's is closing, whatever, however you want to look at it in the time of the lunar cycle.
Right. It's a great little reference guide for that. It's something we can go back to, you know.
Right.
It's really well done.
Yeah. And it's
free
at ethany.com, right? If you go to ethany.com, etheny.com, I think right on that main page, she has a link to it.
We could put it in the comments
that she offers.
Yeah, we could put it in the comments after we're done too. That would be helpful.
Okay. Yeah. And then along with that, we're going to follow what we often do. We're going to draw a card from Angel Wisdom Tarot, the major arcana of Angel Wisdom Tarot, to connect with an angel who can support us as we open to our hopes and dreams and gifts for this year. And I think Gretchen is going to draw a card.
Yeah, I'm drawing one right now.
Write it down.
Guess which one I drew?
I don't know.
I drew the moon.
Oh, is that Haniel?
It is. I don't know if you can
That's
see that.
wonderful
Yeah.
because I was
Yeah.
thinking beforehand of inviting Archangel Haniel in, and then I thought, well, we'll just wait and see what happens.
Of course. I know. I love this. So
That's
it says,
great.
listen to your intuition and pay attention to the signs from the divine. Let go of your fears and revelations that will make everything clear. Let go of unnecessary worry. That's beautiful.
Right. So
That's
we're
beautiful.
opening to possibilities, and that is part of it, as Gretchen was saying. And I guess this is part of the weeding, but I don't know if you have to wait to weed if you know that you have fears and doubts or whatever it is to maybe that need to be released. Maybe I think maybe we'll do a violet flame in the meditation too, just to clear out, clear out anything that might be a remnant of something that we don't need, so that we can plant in fertile soil.
Right, exactly.
And then we can go into, and that's so wonderful. Did you want to read about what it says
Sure.
on the card and in the book?
It's lovely because it says Archangel Haniel is associated with the subconscious, your intuition, and divine gifts. She can help you see the truth in any situation. So it says you're an amazingly intuitive and divinely gifted person. It's natural at times to become aware that something is at work in the universe that you don't have complete clarity about. You may be getting signs in the form of synchronicities, psychic hits, or nighttime dreams that seem particularly vivid or powerful. Don't let this worry you and allow fear to take over. Instead, ask your angels to give you clear messages that are easy to understand. Pay attention to your intuition. Bask in the glow of the magical moonlight and allow your divine gifts to guide you. Oh, that's beautiful. Know in your
Yeah.
heart that all will be revealed soon. And I think that's actually interesting because that goes along with the new moon as we're building towards the full moon, is things are not always crystal clear. Like if you plant the seed, you don't immediately see the plant growing from the ground. You have to wait and be patient for that plant to grow, if we're going to use that kind of symbology here. But it's one of those ways that we just need to trust that the plant is going to grow. So whatever we're planting, it is going to grow. We need to let go of our fears and release all that because it's not necessary for the growth. And just know in your heart that all will be revealed soon. And it says, if any part of your life no longer feels right, then trust your feelings and make necessary changes. Know that in the grand scheme of things, your worry is unnecessary and your fears unwarranted. If you are tempted to let these emotions take over, shove those temptations aside. Be confident that your gifts have brought this matter to your attention, and you'll soon know all there is to know. And I think that's true. If we can be patient and kind of ride out the natural rhythm of the moon phases, then all will be revealed. Right now, at the new moon, we're just planting the seed. We're not meant to see the whole plant growing yet. So it's just about being patient with the universe and trusting that all is well and all is going to be revealed. I think that's a beautiful message.
Right. Yeah. And I think we can send our love to it, just as you plant a seed, you don't put it in the ground and then leave it for the sun to burn it up. You want to, we'll send love to it too.
Right.
And yeah. Yeah.
Just
So
everything
beautiful.
that's meaningful takes a little bit of nurturing, a little bit of care, a little bit of attention, and trusting that it's all gonna grow for us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Something else I was reading about the new moon. The new moon, it occurs as being dark because it is between us and the sun. So it's revolving around the earth, and it gets to the point every 28 days or so where it's between us and the sun, and so we don't see it. All we see is darkness. We don't see any light in it, and then gradually we get a crescent and etc. And I wonder for you, Gretchen, how you interpret that, like it's at its closest point to the sun when it's the new moon. I think that's interesting.
Right. There are actually cultural traditions that believe the day before the new moon is actually considered dark moon. And it's when we are in the darkness of all creation, the substance of where everything is birthed from. And then essentially with the new moon, the moonlight comes back a little bit and is revealed every night, like a little, it's revealed. You get a little tiny crescent, and then it gets larger and larger and larger. So that's part of that natural flow, or that natural rhythm, is during the waning part of the moon, which happens after the moon is full, whenever all the energy starts to decline. We want to be releasing things from our life. That's the natural time to let go, to harvest, and to weed our gardens, and to let go of those things until we get to the new moon again. And so that dark moon, there are quite a few cultures, ancient cultures, that use that time, that last kind of day before the new moon, to use that as a time to cull, to harvest, and to release those things that are no longer serving them in their life, much like we would weed our garden. So I think it's important. Those are all important steps. Like you said, we don't want to just plant something and let it go and think, okay, nature's got it,
Right.
it needs our attention as well. No more than we would ask our guides or our angels to bring something into our life and then not work towards it. We can't. We have a responsibility, and we are an integral part in working with those rhythms to make things come into our lives. So I feel like that each step of the moon phases has an importance and symbolism that can be reflected into our lives.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. I see Susan Carey is here, a wonderful friend of ours. She says, "Hi, Jane and Gretchen. I love your words. Happy to be here, learning to trust and nurture." Wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, it's wonderful to have her here. Such a beautiful, beautiful being. Gretchen, do you think it would make sense maybe to read these questions before we go into the meditation?
Yeah, I think these are great. These are great self-inquiry questions that she offers in this guide.
You want to read them?
Sure. So for the new moon in Capricorn, she gives you 5 questions, and I think they're all really thought-provoking. The first one is, where do I need to stay strong? The second one is, how do I challenge myself in 2024? Where in my life requires more sensitivity? What long-term goals or plans need my attention? That's a good way to plan into the year. And what is the next, right? And what is the next best practical step forward? And I think, Jane, I've actually heard you say that question before. So I think that's really relevant too. So where do you need to stay strong? How do you challenge yourself in the coming days? And where in your life requires more sensitivity? Maybe we have a forcing current, where we think, oh, we got to get all this stuff done. We got to get it done. And you push and you push and you push. Sometimes we need to just be a little more sensitive, about how we actually operate. I tell people all the time, if you're not a list maker, what makes you think you're going to make a list and stick to it? If you're not, there's certain ways that you can adapt and change your life, but you also have to be sensitive to what's possible for you. And then what long-term goals or plans need your attention? What do you want to bring into your life in 2024? This new moon in Capricorn is a great time to kind of ground that into reality. Capricorn is an earth sign, so it's all about bringing in that earth quality of grounding and bringing it into reality. And then what's the next best practical step forward? So what step would you take next to make those things happen, to bring that into action?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Those, and as I mentioned before, also you can ask yourself the questions. You can also, and we'll reflect on them in the meditation today. You can also do a reading, a tarot reading, or an oracle card reading with whatever deck you feel like, for those who are interested in those things, which are many of us who think around here. So there's a lot to explore here. So beautiful. And I think I keep looking at the illustrations that she has in here also are really, really beautiful.
They're really beautiful. Yeah, they're really beautiful.
Yeah, really wonderful. So there are a lot of great resources that we can draw on too. We don't have to just kind of guess. And I think I plan to follow each new and full moon with these questions myself each time, and live in harmony with the flow of life.
Right.
Oh, Sharon said something here. Let's see. She says, like the moon, we are always whole, not just completely visible. That's beautiful.
Exactly. That's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah. So we talk about like the slivers of moon and thing like that. The moon is not actually a sliver, it really is just being obscured. So as the moon phases go on and we get towards full moon, more and more and more is revealed. So that's also a symbol of, that we can reflect on our lives is as time goes on from the new moon to the full moon, more and more is actually being revealed. Like I suggested with the analogy of the plant, we plant our seed, we don't see it growing immediately. So more and more as that plant pushes its way through the soil is being revealed to us. So that's the way our growth works too, so that's a really good point.
Right. Right. And you don't know when you plant a plant, you can't say, well, I want it to have a leaf here and, whatever. It's going to grow in its own way. And there may be things about it that really surprise you in a wonderful way too. Like, wow, I didn't know this was going to have a pink flower. It's like, oh, surprise.
Right. It's like not putting a lot of restrictions on how it turns out or the process in getting there, but focusing more on the beautiful plant that's going to come into being at the end. So it's not so much about focusing on the details and trying to control every little thing, which, as we know in nature with plants, you really can't do. You can only control so much. You can weed around it. You might be able to put a stake in the ground to get it to stand upright, but the winds are going to knock it down and it's going to dry out if you don't water it. So it's really about bringing your awareness to all of those things that need the attention in your life with some sensitivity. I really like that, what my life requires more sensitivity. I think we can get into a very demanding place with ourselves where we need to just go with the flow a little more and trust that the plant is going to grow as long as we take care of it. It doesn't matter how it looks in the end. It'll still be a beautiful plant. So
right. Yeah. And it's been proven, I think, scientifically also that plants respond to love. This the one back here, I have a hard time with the reflection or the mirroring here. That beautiful palm tree, it came as a one of those little plants, and I send love to it, and it's so happy, and I just love it so much. I think loving our creations is part of it too. So that's what we'll focus on today. And Haniel is also very much about love. Beautiful, just beautiful angel. So you ready?
I am. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So we can start as we generally do if you're in a place where it's safe to close your eyes. Again, just breathing in the most amazing love and light from the universe that you can imagine. Opening to the blessings that are here from above. Just breathing in that love and light and releasing again on the exhale. And you might notice even now just that you've been holding on to some things that you could release. Just letting go. So awakening those things that are of value to you, and letting go of those things that are not. And of course, you can ask with your intention to send any energy that is not reflective of who you are, any energy that is not your own, to go back where it came from. Can be other people, other times, other places. We pick up energy all the time. And if we just send it back, it creates more space for us to be ourselves. That's why it's so important. And I do this pretty much with every meditation for myself too. And similarly, bring back any of your own energy that you've left in other times, places with other people. And you may feel as you do these two simple things that you're more present in your body in the moment. You might feel more grounded in who you are, which is a great starting point for this meditation. And with that, again, as we we do a lot of things often, we go to a higher place. And this time we want to imagine rising up to a majestic mountaintop, one that exposes the glories of the earth to us with the earth element. So we're just going to breathe in lighter energy and imagine drifting beautifully up to this higher place. Beautiful mountaintop where we have a 360-degree panoramic view of the world around us in all of its glory. Breathing in that lighter energy, that kind of lighter mountain energy when you're up higher. And hearing that stillness also that comes in the mountains, a beautiful, beautiful stillness. And with that, as I suggested earlier, I'd like to first invite in Ascended Master Saint Germain to bless us with the violet flame energy. And the violet flame energy, it transmutes low vibration things into higher vibration things. So it transmutes our fears and angers and doubts and different things into love and joy. So we can just receive those blessings from Saint Germain, who is here to guide us into the new age, to guide us into more freedom, more magic, more possibilities. So just imagine surrounding yourself with that beautiful violet flame, however it appears to you, the most beautiful violet flame you can imagine, to help you to release any stuck energy that might be in there, anywhere in the cells of your body, layers of your energy field. Just opening and letting go of those things that you don't need now. So that it's kind of like there's congestion in our cells and in the atoms in our body that we can release so that energy can flow through more quickly and more easily, more aliveness, give us more life, kind of like you nurture a plant with sunlight, the perfect amount, just bringing in more of our soul's light. And again, you may feel as you allow this, that you feel more like yourself as you release whatever it is that can be released today. And one of the magical things about the violet flame is that you don't necessarily need to know what you're releasing. You can have an intention, like I'm feeling this doubt, like this sounds good, but I don't know if it'll work for me, that kind of thing. Can release that. Or anything, or if you're not sure, just ask to let go of anything that might be congesting your field so that you can't fully embrace what's possible for you. I was surprised when I started doing this regularly that I would become very happy, and I'm feeling that now. Are you feeling that, Gretchen?
I am.
So
I am.
it always surprised me. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing you can do. And we can thank Saint Germain for joining us and invite in Archangel Haniel to bless us with love, with her loving light. She's very loving, very intuitive, helping us to open to those things that we have not revealed or that have not revealed themselves, to open to the blessings that are here waiting for us to grab onto them, to nurture them, to love them. So this would be a good time to, whether you want to focus on one thing or just your life in general. I think when I think of it now, I want more magic and more miracles and always more of that in my life. Just inviting whatever seeds you want to plant for yourself. Now, it could be better health, could be more loving relationships, could be something physical, something new that you want or need. And so just imagine whatever that is out in front of you as an energy, kind of like in the atmosphere around the mountaintop. You can see those seeds of that you want to plant, of those things that you want to create. Just out in the air there, floating. And send them love. It's also worthwhile, I think last time in the circle, we focused on being appreciative of the blessings that we have now in our lives, just to send love and appreciation and gratitude for the blessings that we have. Send love to that. And then, of course, what we're looking for here is more blessings. We can send love to those again. And then you might want to ask yourself, what might serve you in helping to make your manifestations grow, whatever it is that you're focusing on. How might that happen? Maybe Archangel Haniel has a suggestion for you. And just feeling all of the support that you have. There are so many angels and enlightened beings around us, guides. And all we have to do is to ask them to support us, to bring us guidance, to bring us more joy, to help us to heal all these things that we've been talking about. And now we can send our love back to them. They send love to us. We can send our love to them too. Planting seeds of a relationship, of relationships with the divine. And they do appreciate this. So Gretchen, would you like to share anything that you're noticing or experiencing?
Yes, I watched as Haniel's energy and Saint Germain's flame kind of intermingled, and they were weaving together. And then we were talking about these seeds, and I started to see these seeds are actually little pieces of light, like little sparks of light that are descending upon all of us. They're not named yet. They're always there for us, little seeds of light that we just need to pull into our lives. They're always available, and I felt like I saw little specks of light flying around with tiny little wings, kind of descending on all of us. And I could hear Haniel kind of giggling and laughing. It felt very joyous just to watch all almost like snowflakes, but they kind of were falling like that all around us in these beautiful little seeds of light that are just full of potential. You know, it's like seeding a miracle. You know, we want to draw that into our life. We need to name the seed, you know, what we want.
Right. So. Yeah, thank you. And the Archangel Haniel might have a gift for you too. That's worth asking for when you meet with an angel or a being of light. What gift would they like you to take back with you and materialize possibly? And with that, we can prepare to come back to where we started in our seats or wherever you're resting. Flowing back down, again, thanking Haniel and Saint Germain and all of the other beings. Great, great gratitude. And flowing back down into your seat, grounding yourself. Breathing in more active energy now, coming back to your normal waking state. And as you ground yourself, sending love to the earth, to Mother Earth, who blesses us with life itself here. And then breathing in that active energy. When you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Little seeds of light everywhere. As I kept seeing, like snowflakes just falling down. It's lovely.
It feels great. Mm. I'm
Mhm.
always amazed at the violet flame too. I was feeling fine, I thought before, and now I'm feeling much more super fine.
Yeah, I observe that as something very different this time for me. Usually it literally is a flame, and this was more like just a beautiful violet light that was cascading down, on the mountaintop. It was just beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
really
Yeah.
gentle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I felt it gentle too, and
Mhm.
it may depend on what it is that it's doing for us.
Mhm. Right.
If there's a lot of hard work to be done, you might need a pretty severe looking flame. Although they're not hot, just so everybody knows,
Mhm.
it's a supportive flame, but it might
Right.
need to be a much more active flame rather than kind of a gentle,
Mhm.
nurturing flame. That felt so good.
Absolutely.
And I do feel encouraged. And
Me
again,
too.
I didn't know that I needed to be encouraged, but I feel great.
I feel lighter. I mean, light seems to
Hmm.
be the symbol, but I feel lighter than I did,
Hmm.
not
Right,
realizing I needed to feel lighter.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and it is that we are light, in the end, love and light. And we can be feeling pretty good and not realize we can actually be feeling even better than pretty good.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And as we raise our vibration also, things seem more possible. The doubts and whatever it is, the self-recriminations or whatever is holding
Yeah.
us back, they tend to kind of wane so
Yeah.
that we can be with the potential that exists for us. We can be present and plant the seeds. And uh, I like looking at manifestation that way in terms of
Hmm.
seeds, making it using that metaphor of a garden.
Hmm.
I think I'll use that
Yeah.
more. I haven't been doing that.
Yeah.
That feels really appropriate
That's
somehow.
often how right. That's often how I perceive it. How am I tending my garden? And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I look at my garden, I'm like, oh, I really need to weed. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's good. It's a good kind of wake up call for me sometimes when
Yeah.
I just tune in. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way, actually, a great way of doing that. Like, how is my
Hmm.
garden today?
Hmm.
What stands out when I look with my inner vision at that garden?
Hmm.
Wonderful.
Without judgment, it without the
Well, of
judgment.
course, right.
Right.
We don't have to judge ourselves because
Right.
the things that are holding us back they're holding us back because they're not us.
Right. Right.
We hold on to these things like they mean something, like we have to have this fear or something, whatever.
Hmm.
If we didn't have this anger towards such and such, then we wouldn't be in control of the situation.
Hmm.
Well, it's
Which
not
we're not
true.
anyway. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Such an illusion.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
So it
Yeah.
is just to realize that those things are the illusion
Hmm.
and the light and the love are the what's real.
Right. That's the truth.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Susan Carey says, I feel more light too. My head has been congested. Amazing. You use that word to facilitate release. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
I hope it did release. I
Hmm.
found actually when I have congestion, sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night or whatever, if I have a cold or something, and I feel stuffed up, and then I just ask it to release, and it does, which is interesting. We're more
Yeah.
powerful than we know, I think.
I think, yeah, that's something that's constantly reaffirming if we pay attention. Yeah.
Hmm. Right,
Absolutely.
right.
Mhm.
Another part of this also asking yourself the questions and potentially drawing cards. If you do readings, do tarot or a reading. If you're doing them, I highly recommend journaling whatever is happening and returning to your reading maybe the next day or so, because it seems like there's some depth often that you can't just get in a few minutes.
Yeah, it's
So,
kind of layered. It feels like it's layered. You know, there's
right.
various layers, you know, that may not be apparent right off the bat. So
Yeah. I did a reading a week ago maybe, and I was using a deck that I haven't used much. I think maybe I used it once or twice a while back, and I think I didn't have much trust in it. And every card that came up, it just made me more and more angry. Like, this is not making any sense to me. And then it was a 5-card reading. It wasn't this 5-card reading. It was a different 5-card reading. And afterwards, I just laid it aside and I said, well, you don't have to reject it. You don't have to have any response to it at all right now. Just let it be. Let that experience be what it is, and come back to it. And I didn't even come back to it the next day. I actually came back to it, I think yesterday. And I went through all of the cards again. I actually did another reading with a tarot deck on that topic. And then I came back to this other reading, which was an oracle card deck. And when I came back to it, it all made sense. So has a lot to do with us.
right. It has to do with where we were at in the moment too, I think, you know,
Right.
you know, sometimes we're not meant to see the whole picture in that moment, you know.
Right.
Right.
And maybe I just was in a cranky mood or something. I think I wasn't certain about the deck, and I let my uncertainty influence my thinking in that moment. But then when I went back to it, I also felt, going back to it, that the initial reading that the tarot deck reading that I did with it really helped, because it gave me much more so I could grasp what the other one was saying. It was almost like it was a little bit too obscure for me to get it right away. But it was very interesting. Anyhow, I highly recommend journaling. And even if you don't have questions about something, you may think, well, I got it, it's fine. If you go back to it, you might think, well, wow, I didn't even realize that before. How could I have missed that?
Right.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at the time now. Oh, it's going fast. Just remember to send love and light out to the world. You can send it. Of course, we're collecting it in the circle, and then in the end, we want to send it out to people we love who may need more light. The world in general is fine, just surrounding the whole world with love. Places that are struggling now with wars and hostilities. Whatever feels right to you. Your own community, loving your community, supporting and nurturing your community. And of course, we're sending it out to all of our manifestations that are out there in the ethers. It's beautiful. So Gretchen, would you like to tell people what you're up to right now and how they can find out more about what you're doing and how they could benefit from you?
Thank you. Yes, so people can connect with me here on Facebook, or you can connect with me at my website, which is spiraljourney.net. I have lots of resources on there on a free page. So if you just want to engage in something, get to know me a little bit better, you can go to the page of free offerings. I also post a lot of the circles of love and light there as well. And of course, Jane's lovely book. And so the book called The Solution. And so I am also available to talk. If anybody just wants to connect or learn more, please feel free to reach out. I love meeting people.
Wonderful. Thank you. For Awakenings Institute, that's the organization Philip and I, my husband and I, started for bringing more love and light to the world. We have Philip just created a free excerpt from our book, Manifesting Your Dreams, that you can access. It's at tinyurl.com/book-manifest. And we're preparing for a course on manifesting your dreams that's coming up in a few weeks. So keeps going. Life goes on. What else was I going to say? Oh, I mentioned that neither Gretchen or I would be here on the 28th. The circle will be happening. Philip, my husband Philip, will be here with Babs, who is wonderful. She's going to be the co-host, and I'm sure that they'll be offering a lot of wonderful insights, etc., for you too. So I also want to let you know how you can support the circle. You can follow our page on Facebook. That's very helpful. Share the video, which is here on Facebook and on YouTube with your friends, and invite your friends to join you in the circle and receive the blessings together. And this is probably a topic of conversation. I would think that there would be something to talk about from today for sure. I have things to talk about from today myself. And of course, the last thing we do is send love and light out to the week ahead. So just sending love and light to your week ahead. Any potential stumbles, you can fill them with love too. And wishing you, of course, as always, a blessed week ahead. Bye-bye for now.